This is absolutely hilarious to me. I had to bring this up because, and I've not talked about Highguard a lot because it's like, oh, typical game studio, thought that they were special, thought that everybody was gonna love them. Turns out they just turned out a middle of the road, not so awesome game. And in today's economy, you need to be awesome or you're nothing. That's just how it is. That's just how the market works. And so this story is absolutely hilarious. Over on a website that I do not go to very often, but I found the story from Rock, Paper, Shotgun. As Highguard's website goes dark, a report emerges that the not-so-indie shooter was funded by Tencent. Is that a bathroom selfie for the writer of the article? You know what? We live in 2026. It's fine. It's fine. If you got bathroom selfies for your article. Anyway, Highguard is in a bit of a Schrodinger's cat situation. This is because at the time of writing, the official site only shows the shooter's logo. Yeah, the website went down. Turns out when you fire everybody, the website goes down. The game looked bad. Yeah, it did. So website goes down. This site is currently unavailable. Please contact support for assistance. Alongside links to the official Discord server and Twitter page. This, of course, could just be a blip, but even as I'm writing, it's been the case for several hours. There's not a single word from the developers of Wildlight about its site down. So it's both dead and not dead until someone opens the box. Oh my gosh, you know what? I like this. I like the cut of the jib of this writer. As old-timey speaks goes, I like the cut of her jib. I don't know what that means. I kind of know what that means. Cut of a jib. Where does that come from? I'm gonna look that up now. Damn it. Okay. Chat, we have homework. Go look up the definitions. Why? What is the old-timey phrase? The cut of someone's jib. Where does that come from? Anyway, moving on. This obviously isn't an immediate confirmation that the game is shutting down. No, the immediate confirmation that the game was shutting down was the fact that they fired everybody because it freaking... Yeah, anyway. But given last week, most of the team was apparently laid off. Yeah, fired. Let's be... I did hear that they got some severance packages, though. There's certainly reason to question whether this is that famed writing on the wall you so often hear about. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow. They're actually using. Oh, okay. They're actually writing. Okay. Yeah. Okay. They're using higher than a third grade language that I'm used to use. So I actually have to turn my brain on to see exactly how they're going to go. Cool. Awesome. The silence from Wildlight, both in the game's Discord and the social pages, certainly adds to the writing, kind of like the silence after the Game Awards. Parallel to all this, reports emerged from GameFile that sheds a tidbit of light on how Highguard came to be. Namely, the game was predominantly funded by Tencent. It's been unknown up to this point just who funded the game, giving Wildlight's proud proclamation of independence. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I wanted to talk about. Not only did this game come out, and was it even mid? I've heard it's mid. I've heard it's just mid as fuck. Basically, it's middle of the road. It is yet another game. And they claimed that they were just a scrappy team of 100 developers that worked for however many years on this game and totally independent. And I was like, wow, man, they saying 100 people? 100 people working for multiple years on a game. Man, you guys must have had some serious severance packages from when the guys left, like Apex Legends and Titanfall and all that stuff. You guys must have had some good money in your pockets. No, it turns out they weren't independent at all because they took money from somebody to get their game developed. Now, I have talked about this in the past, but I think that this is very important. As the gaming landscape is opening up to more and more developers and independents and so on, I think that we need to strongly consider adding some separation, because people are like, well, what is independent? All right, here is where I am at when it comes to an independent game. If you take money from somebody else during the game's development or to finish the game, you are not independent. That's why I argued Expedition 33 was not independent. And then the people get mad. They go, no. And I'm like, stop, hold on. However, we do have in our current nomenclature the AAA, which means big money, big dollars, huge company. We have the AA, which means like medium money, medium dollars, good game. But I argue we should also talk about single A games, which is what I think Expedition 33 is. What is a single A? It's low budget, higher quality, right? Low budget, it's got a team of people. It's not quite indie because, again, Expedition 33 definitely took money. They did take money from Kepler to keep going. And they were like, wow, when they took the money from Kepler, there was 90% done. But they still took the money, which means they're no longer financially independent. And so, that being said, I think we need to change the nomenclatures a little bit and say that, well, an independent studio is one that operates solely off of their own creative and their own financials in order to get the game completed. If you take money in the financials, depending on how much money that is, well, as that money gets to a certain point, you could go from a single A to a AA to a AAA, just depending. I don't think that but for some reason, we don't want to advance our language. We want to keep dumbing it down. We want to keep, like, no, because again, and everybody's like, well, I feel independent. I'm sorry, the dictionary disagrees with you. Right? You go, well, Royce, when was the last time you picked up a dictionary? Like a week ago with my kids. And actually, I still look up definitions all the time. You guys have seen me do it. So, all of that being said, when Expedition 33 came out and they finally, right before the Game Awards, said, we made this game for less than $10 million. Everybody was like, what? They were a small, scrappy team working as hard as they could for the longest time, but they needed that extra to get over the finish line. They took the money. They are no longer an independent studio, but also they didn't spend the money that would make them a AA or a AAA studio. Therefore, I would say, hey, they're a single A. They got 1A. They got a single A. They're a single A studio, and they made Game of the Year, which rightfully so, and they won everything that they really should have. But also, Highguard comes out and they're like, we were just a scrappy independent studio. That took a shit ton of money from Tencent. That is not independent. You paid 100 people for multiple years worth of work on a mid-ass game. And here's the thing, the game was in development when Concord failed. And Highguard, you guys didn't about face there? This is hilarious to me. Just the hubris. And they're just like, no, we were totally independent. Also, we were funded by that. You're not independent if you're funded by somebody else. If you take money from somebody else, you're not independent. I was talking with my buddy about this, right? And he's like, well, Larian Studios is independent. And I'm like, and in the argument, I didn't bring up that they were also, partially owned by Tencent. But he was like, well, Baldur's Gate 3 is more independent than Expedition 33. And I was like, no, it wasn't. And my buddy is like, excuse me? I was like, hold on. Baldur's Gate 3, that is a Dungeons and Dragons property. That is a Dungeons and Dragons intellectual property, and Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast had their say over Baldur's Gate 3, which means that they are not creatively independent. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you this question. Chat down below. Do you think, and if you're watching the VOD, do you think that my definition of independent, you need to be creatively independent and you need to be financially independent? To be independent, if you're financially independent, but you're still kind of taken, like you have to follow the rules of the guidelines of the IP that you're working with, I would say you're not independent. If you're following your own creative guidelines, like we're making this super awesome game, but somebody is also funding you, I would say not independent. Now, depending on the dollary due amounts, right? Because you might have some dollary dues there. Where did I hear that? Anyway, the dollars that you're spending, that could either place you into a single A, a double A, or a triple A space. I don't know what my hands are doing at this point. But the fact that Highguard came out and they're like, we were just an independent, scrappy team. You're not fucking independent. You took money from Tencent, reports say. And then on top of that, you had that one developer who came out and just did the woe is me post, and they were, and none of the gamers gave it a chance. Dude, there is an estimated 1 million downloads on day one of Highguard coming out. 1 million downloads. And you're telling me you guys, out of 1 million people signing up to play your game day one, you weren't able to keep any of those people? I'm sorry, and this is a terminology that I absolutely, you are believing your own hype. And here's what I will say to you. You're not Vegeta. Don't believe your own hype. I need to get my Vegeta hung up. Where is my Vegeta? Is it still on the wall? You're not Vegeta. You're not the hype. Stop it. For those of you who get that reference, thank you. But no, seriously. What? You watched games fail. You watched the Suicide Squad kill the Justice League fail. You watched Concord fail. There have been how many live services that have absolutely tanked, and you guys are like, we're gonna be this is the greatest game on the planet. And that developer was like, everybody told us that we were the greatest and we weren't gonna fail, and it was just the gamers. The gamers just didn't give us a chance. The stupid gamers. It's just like, yeah, bitch. You want gamers to give you money. I was like, well, it's a free to download game with microtransactions. How come gamers, which by the way, gamers love spending money on microtransactions. I actually think that is a problem in our society. I think that people are willing to spend money too easily. I think the only game that I've ever bought microtransactions on was Pokemon Go. And it was because I was out of fucking Pokeballs and I was in a fucking hotel room and I couldn't get more Pokeballs. My wife's like, babe, just spend the $10 to get more Pokeballs. I was like, fine, thank you. And actually, occasionally, I will say this, we'll still boot up Pokemon Go and do all the updates and stuff, and we'll still walk around town with the kids and play Pokemon Go. Super fun family activity. Like, it's really fun. But yeah, again, stop coming out. Like, you lied to people. You said you were independent, and reports are coming out. You probably weren't. Now, if these reports are accurate, that's okay. If you self-funded, you were independent. If you did not self-fund, you're not independent. And honestly, I love what this person said here. They're like, yeah, it's like the Schrodinger's cat of video games. You know, is it dead or is it not dead? Well, we won't know until we open the box. I honestly think that Highguard is probably dead. Now, there is always room for them to run a skeleton crew and go, okay, we need to fix our game, or we need to do that fire stuff that we were going to do that we never did. And they come out and they have a comeback story. And I was telling my buddy this, and it's actually part of the reason that Marathon is now catching my attention. The one thing that people love more than to see something fail is to see a redemption story, right? Cyberpunk 2077, the space game. Why do I always forget the space game's name? Anyway, space game came out, totally sucked. Now space game, super awesome. No Man's Sky, figured it out. I remember. I'm horrible with names. God, I'm horrible with names. I would forget my own children's names if I didn't name them. I still sometimes forget their names. You're a parent, you've been there. You look at a child, they're doing something dumb. You're like, thing 1, now, thing 2, now, damn it. Thing 3, thing 4. And they're like, I'm not thing 4, I'm actually thing 2. I'm like, I said thing 2. Why didn't you respond when I said it? And the kids are like, why are you yelling at me? I'm like, because you left the stove on and it's smoking. And they're like, oh yeah. I'm like, how did you not notice? Anyway, moving back to Highguard, you guys understand. I forget names. That was that whole diatribe. But the fact that this game came out with servers not being tested, crashing constantly, giving no gameplay that was compelling to the players, giving absolutely bland-ass looking characters. Reports are coming out that they didn't even have time to work on character designs. And then to say that they were a scrappy, small, independent team that was funded by Tencent, you guys deserve to fail. And here's why. If you're willing to lie to your potential customers, you're willing to fail, and you deserve it. You deserve it. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to your customers, your potential customers. We've been lied to before. A lot of people spent the money, and we're tired of spending money on lies. So, if for some reason you guys have not been laughed out of the industry, why don't I give you kudos for that? Come on, you say we screwed up, we're going to fix it, or we're going to move on to a new game and we're going to come back from this. We're going to be the phoenix rising from the ashes. If you guys do that, good for you. But don't lie to your customers. Don't call yourself an independent studio when you're taking money from one of the largest conglomerates on the planet. If you are willing to lie to us, then you're willing to suffer the consequences. And honestly, that's how I feel about this entire Highguard situation. It just baffles me that people think that they can lie to their potential customer base and get away from it. But that's just what I think. Tell me what you guys think down in the comments down below in the VOD. And because you're not here with me in the chat right now, you should totally be here with me in the chat right now on Mondays and Thursdays. We're on YouTube. I stream on this channel. Subscribe, share the videos. If you like what I'm saying, share this to a bunch of people because YouTube loves it when you share it.